I wish what is for your good, Dunfin, said Goldeye. I can't imagine anything worse than for you to fly away with a black cormorant. But now I shall tell you something. Try to persuade him to eat some of the roots I've gathered here. If he is bewitched, it will be apparent at once. If he is not, he will remain as he is. The boy was sitting amongst the wild geese, listening to Akka, the old goose master, when Dunfin came flying up to him. Thumbletot, Thumbletot, she cried. Morton Goosey Gander is dying. I have killed him. Let me get up on your back, Dunfin, and take me to him. Away they flew, and Akka and the other wild geese followed them. When they got to the goosey gander, he was lying prostrate on the ground. He could not utter a word, only gasp for breath. Tickle him under the gorge and slap him on the back, commanded Akka. The boy did so, and presently the big white gander coughed up a large white root which had stuck in his gorge. Have you been eating some of these? Asked Akka, pointing to some roots that lay on the ground. Yes, yes, groaned the goosey gander. Then it was well that they stuck in your throat, said Akka, for they are poisonous. Had you swallowed them, you certainly should have died. Dunfin bade me eat them, said Goosey Gander. My sister gave them to me, protested Dunfin, and she told everything. You must beware of those sisters of yours, Dunfin, warned Akka, for they wish you no good. Depend on it. But Dunfin was so constituted that she could not think evil of anyone, and a moment later, when Pretty Wing asked her to come and meet her intended, she went with her immediately. Oh, he isn't as handsome as yours, said the sister, but he's much more courageous and daring. How do you know he is? Challenged Dunfin. For some time past there has been a weeping and wailing amongst the seagulls and wild ducks on the island. Every morning at daybreak a strange bird of prey comes and carries one of them off. What kind of bird is it? Asked Dunfin. We don't know, replied the sister. One of his kind has never before been seen on the island, and, strange to say, he has never attacked one of us geese. But now my intended has made up his mind to challenge him tomorrow morning and drive him away. Oh, I hope he'll succeed, said Dunfin. I hardly think he will, returned the sister. If my goosey gander were as big and strong as yours, I should have hope. Do you wish me to ask Morton Goosey Gander to meet the strange bird? Asked Dunfin. Indeed I do, exclaimed Pretty Wing excitedly. You couldn't render me a greater service. The next morning the goosey gander was up before the sun. He stationed himself on the highest point of the island and peered in all directions. Presently he saw a big, dark bird coming from the west. His wings were exceedingly large, and it was easy to tell that he was an eagle. The goosey gander had not expected a more dangerous adversary than an owl, and how he understood that he could not escape this encounter with his life. But it did not occur to him to avoid a struggle with a bird who is many times stronger than himself. The great bird swooped down on a seagull and dug its talons into it. Before the eagle could spread its wings, Morton Goosey Gander rushed up to him. Drop that, he shouted, and don't come here again, or you'll have me to deal with. What kind of lunatic are you? Said the eagle. It's lucky for you that I will never fight with geese, or you should be done for. Morton Goosey Gander thought the eagle considered himself too good to fight with him, and flew at him, incensed, biting him on the throat and beating him with his wings. This, naturally, the eagle would not tolerate, and he began to fight, but not with his full strength. The boy lay sleeping in the quarters where Akka and the others wild geese slept, when Dunfin called, Thumbletot, Thumbletot, Morton Goosey Gander is being torn to pieces by an eagle. Let me get up on your back, Dunfin, and take me to him, said the boy. When they arrived on the scene, Morton Goosey Gander was badly torn and bleeding, but he was still fighting. The boy could not battle with the eagle. All that he could do was seek more efficient help. Hurry, Dunfin, and call Akka and the wild geese, he cried. The instant he said that, the eagle flew back and stopped fighting. Who's speaking of Akka? He asked. He saw Thumbletot and heard the wild geese honking, so he spread his wings. Tell Akka I never expected to run across her or any of her flock out here in the sea, he said, and soared away in a rapid, graceful flight. That is the selfsame eagle who once brought me back to the wild geese, the boy remarked, gazing after the bird in astonishment. The geese had decided to leave the island at dawn, but first they wanted to feed a while. As they walked about and nibbled, a mountain duck came up to Dunfin. I have a message for you from your sisters, said the duck. They dare not show themselves among the wild geese, but they asked me to remind you not to leave the island without calling on the old fisherman. That is so, exclaimed Dnfn, but she was so frightened now that she would not go alone, and asked Goosey Gander and Thumbletot to accompany her to the hut. The door was open, so Dnfn entered, but the others remained outside. After a moment they heard Akka give the signal to start and called Dnfn. A grey goose came out and flew with the wild geese away from the island. They had travelled quite a distance along the archipelago when the boy began to wonder at the goose who accompanied them. Dnfn always flew lightly and noiselessly, but this one laboured with heavy and noisy wing strokes. We are in the wrong company. It is Pretty Wing that follows us. The boy had barely spoken when the goose uttered such an ugly and angry shriek that all knew who she was. Akka and the others turned to her, but the grey goose did not fly away at once. Instead, she bumped against the big Goosey Gander, snatched Thimbletot, and flew off with him in her bill. There was a wild chase over the archipelago. Pretty Wing flew fast, but the wild geese were close behind her, and there was no chance for her to escape. Suddenly they saw a puff of smoke rise up from the sea and heard an explosion. In their excitement, they had not noticed that they were directly above a boat in which a lone fisherman was seated. However, none of the geese was hurt, but just there, above the boat, Pretty Wing opened her bill and dropped Thimbletot into the sea.